Day. A lot of things to plug in over here. You should hear me though. I'm pretty sure you hear me. Just waiting for the big old bam, oh, bam, bam. Good to see everyone. James Shoe's in the house. I'm pretty sure I'm live. I've clicked all the buttons that need to be clicking. Rockfin is. Oh, look at that. There's Graham. There's Merd Motha. Great to see you guys. Thank you so much for the. Well, look at that. I got 55. Look at that. 55 in the house over in Rockfin. Look at those super tips. Thank you. That's a powerful number. We've learned that powerful number here. Am I too hot? I don't know. You're going to have to tell me. I bet you that I can. Whoa. I bet you I can get away with this. I tell you, this. I don't know how to buy an audio interface that doesn't have a. Look, it's either fucking on or it's off. And that's where we're at. This is the third audio interface that I've tried. But hey. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the show. My name is James True, your favorite rock-throwing philosopher. I have missed so many of you and have been engaged with so many more. The heightened, the high that I feel, the high that others feel from this glorious event we had called 5-5 is man, it is just everywhere. I got in late last night, close to midnight. Was just dying to say hi to everyone today, so here I am. With that said, I need you to know that I'm still catching up. Really behind on a lot of correspondence. I've really put off a lot of things on hold, and I'm getting to that. One of those very important things is actually updating the credit screen, which will roll at the end of this show. I haven't set up the May credit screen yet, so I want you to know I really appreciate you watching the show, and I really appreciate you being here. And if you made it to 5.5, I freaking love you. That was so much fun. It really was. We missed some beautiful people there. I'm not gonna lie. Like as far as like the people in the chat right now, we carried your torch, and you were there in spirit. I don't want you to feel that you've missed anything. I want you to feel that those who came in your stead were heartfast on finding a better way of rendering ourselves in our collective crystal palace. I'm not even making this up. I'm in the same room now with Jen. I've been in the same room now with Renee. I've been in the same room now with Pam, with Susan, and I'm already missing people, but with all of these people that were there that I've been working with so diligently, for the first time I'm able to be in the room with them. I can smell them. I can, not in a creepy way, but having the pheromone connection gives you a better plant to render these people in your crystal palace. That's what I'm trying to say. But I want you to know that if you weren't able to make 5.5, you actually are going to feel the power of this crystal palace. You're going to see that there's a collective ability for us to render each other in the tribe, and that has been, oh my goodness, that has been amplified so much. I have not checked to see if I'm muted. I'm assuming that there's no complaints, nothing like, yeah, missed you. Yeah, Tricky Boo, missed you too. It definitely was there. Yeah, we felt you in spirit, Christopher. Yeah. Okay, good. So everything's good. And yeah, it was totally beautiful. It it really was. Everything before and after, everything I predicted would happen happened. Even down to the fact of when I was looking at the causeway pictures, I was like, I can picture myself driving across that causeway on 5.5 because I'm missing a cord. And I was. Turns out the direct video cable looks just like the HDMI cable. And a month ago, when I thoroughly packed the box, I thoroughly grabbed the wrong cable and ended up driving across that causeway to pay $55 probably with tax for an HDMI cable. So the resonance is there, right? And Staples in Rhode Island, go fuck yourself charging people $55 for an HDMI cable. Seriously, go fuck yourselves. Wow. Yeah, Staples. Yeah, I'm talking to you, buddy. Yeah. This episode is not sponsored. In fact, this episode is sponsored by people that think Staples needs to go suck a big fat one. No, I mean, a small limp one even. That's what I think. But actually, I wasn't even mad. Maybe I'm a little now. I'm not even mad. I'm trying to create some banter for the show. I want you to feel a little banter. We one of our wonderful hostesses on the hospital. We have a hospitality committee. I think they friggin' rocked it out. I've gone to these things before, and I've done these things before. Most of them have been a little bit more primitive, I'll admit. They've been more like fire oriented and things like that. But sometimes they're in cabins and stuff. And I'll tell you, the drama that's unfolded in those has been enough to where I've been like, I don't ever want to do this again. This is flat out dangerous. Like food poisoning, all the other stuff that happens, the weird energy games, the drunk guy who shows up, the drunk guy who shows up and then shows up later pretending that he didn't show up. It's always a beautiful exercise in vitriol, which I do welcome. And this hit different. 5.5 hit different. And I really think it's because of that hospitality committee. I think that vibe, some of it's matriarchal. I think that Jen newly giving birth does not hurt this process at all. But I think that they laid that foundational tree with all its roots. And anyone who was coming to say, drama. And actually, let me characterize that, because we were actually welcoming the drama, It was more of the, I think it was more of the dissent. There's been a lot of dissent. And I've spoken to you a lot about the 15 minutes and the cannibalism, and we've watched that inside of our own group. And I believe that hospitality committee really just like set that root so deep. It was just so wet and saturated from the soil that it became impossible for the dissident birds to land and do their thing. They landed. They would try and spit out. I saw a few that were trying to see, is this a place where we can energetically find ways to grasp onto our victimhood in slavery, which has been happening in other parts, and the answer was no, right? Like you to picture the oracle, and you're there, but it's a modern oracle, and you're asking the oracle for a question, and you hear the lady typing on her computer, and she goes, "Oracle says, nah." It's like that. I said, no, it's not going to happen. And it said this fruitful tree bloomed, and it was just so, it still is so fruitful. My sun-kissed skin is glowing the eminence of how beautiful of a job that hospitality committee did. I cannot say this enough. I just can't. And the show was fantastic. Antonio Ramen, I believe that's how you say it. Antonio, I rarely refer to your last name. I can spell it. Did a presentation on Iroquois Confederacy, unanimous consent, and wrapped it into his experiences with Occupy Wall Street. He freaking nailed it. I've done well to hear all of the compliments of his performance and still not let them reflect it all on, well, fuck, I wish I would have done that well. And my performance felt great. I felt fantastic. I'm just telling you, no, he's freaking like a superstar. He looked so good up there. It was great. Dylan, our Lunar Medicine show, played our sets in between. It was fantastic. The vibe was so warm, so great. I could not stop meeting cool person after cool person. I kept thinking, oh my God, you're the coolest person I met. And then another person would come up and you'd be like, fuck, let me take this back to committee. Oh, and it's still in committee. I don't even know what to do. Some of you were like an entire family of like cool people. And I'm like, how are you guys pulling this off? And I'm guessing you do like calisthenic exercises before these events where you like get together and you like super engaged. I don't know how you do it, but it's really, really fantastic. Yeah, really, really, really fantastic. He did look slick, Eric. He looked freaking slick as fuck, right? Yeah, it's a good looking man. Yep. Where do we go from here? I have a show. I've been wanting to talk to you about this. I was driving back from Raleigh, from Rhode Island. It was just thinking about stuff, and it was just like, poof. This concept hit me, and I wanted to share it with you. And the concept that hit me is this notion of the Big Bang. Let me see if I can pull this up here. Yeah, he did. Dylan delivered. He totally did. Oh, I have a half circle, like a hand tambourine thing. I think it might belong to Dylan. It might belong to Thomas. Honestly, some of you guys were emanating so much music out of your pores. It really could belong to anyone. Also, a special performance of the Rainbow Connection. Everyone missed it except for me. I was there. It was freaking beautiful. That song's always moved me. And Renee and Thomas did a cover of that in the oldest house in Rhode Island. I need to set the stage. We rented the oldest, Renee rented us the oldest house in Rhode Island. And we had assembled in the tribe assembled in the oldest house in Rhode Island. And we literally put on virtual reality and talked about how the Crystal Palace is meldable through the imagination. And I have video of our own Eric Mr. E from Esoteric Journey giving a Latin spell as he's reading the screen from this virtual reality world that we had built. I built 4 worlds in virtual reality for people just to kind of get the concept of what this feels like. Does this to emanate an association, which is the same as disassociating. I'm gonna be explaining this in an upcoming episode, but that just as I've said, you would transmute yourself into the end of your pedals on your bicycle, or the end of your skis on your feet, or your snowboard, or whatever sport it is that you've decided to associate yourself into, even the pool cue, right? That this ability for you to take your consciousness and put it to the end of a pen or a watercolor brush and apply that you were at the tip of that stilo, and that you're able to apply your consciousness to where pen meets paper, to where ski meets snow, to where appendage attached to foot, right? Board attached to foot meets road. And whichever way, that's because you're associating into things that actually were not part of your body, or so you thought. Or so you thought. That's thought. And he just said that he will never speak English because it's a vile language. But he's glad that you came to 5-5. It's a cute little guy. It's hard to imagine Thoth being so cute. We have someone animized him. Our own Pam animized him, and his thought came out. We had a sarcophagus there. Gus was in full glory painted. I apologize, I don't have Gus in my room right now. He's actually still in the car. I like I said, I wanted to do a show today, and I haven't unpacked. All I've done is tried to put out the fires that are first the most pressing just in my mailbox, and that's really what I've been doing today. But I'll be pulling out some of the art that was made for that event, showing you guys that stuff, all that. But it's great to have such a wonderful experience. It really means a lot. And driving back, I was thinking about this. Seriously, it really meant a lot. Those of you who came, it was just so powerful. Those of you that couldn't come, we still felt you. But if you could never make it to one of these, if we do one again, and I really hope we do, it's good medicine. It's really good medicine. But enough about that weekend. I'm sure we'll be coming to it. We'll be talking about this later for sure. But let's just let me show you something. I'm gonna go to let's see if that's it. Yeah. This will be another episode that YouTube will not be monetizing because I'm showing you pictures of side boob, and the thumbnail that I rendered this morning. YouTube threw away, and I uploaded it again and covered their ass cheeks because YouTube thinks you and I are children. But this that's another topic altogether. But this concept of Adam and Eve. I did a talk about my latest book, Ark of Baphomet, which I encourage you to buy. Speaks a lot about the origin of life. It suggests that man was spawned and that he was not created. And I took us back to the origin of Genesis, and I started to discuss what was actually being said. And we've covered some of these things in the show, not nearly as much as what's in the book, which is why I really encourage you to buy the book. But let's be honest, even people in my own tribe haven't read my book. And that's a medium that may be not ready for Aquarius, which is one of the reasons why I'm doing video, which is fine, which is one of the reasons why I think some of you were able to really enjoy the presentation, because it was like totally fresh. So it was like kind of 40% book only source, right? With like 10% like stuff you've never heard, because I sort of spontaneously was saying some stuff, and then 50% of things you might have heard on the live stream before. Yeah, I don't know why I'm telling you that, but yeah, that's roughly the percentage of what's going on. And so, we've spoken about this idea of primal Adam. I've shown you all these different religions that had this concept of primal Adam in their history, in their cosmography. And that primal Adam could be looked at as the androgyne or the hermaphrodite. And this idea that the sexes were joined at one point. It's a very Gnostic idea. And it's interesting because of all the transhumanism things that we're seeing right now, really all it's doing is waking up the same fear and paranoia that led to so many Gnostic persecutions long ago, and that the religion itself was transmuted by its own paranoia into this other thing that we know today, and that it's all religions have that, all science has that, all belief has that. You have that, I have that. We are spurred on by our paranoia. We can't help it. Nor can these cosmologies or religions. But before the paranoia, there was the idea of the Aedum, the Adam Eve combined. And I believe that this is the oracle of mythology speaking through. And this oracle of mythology really deserves its own book, and it's something I'm going to be focusing on in June for Astronosis 2, which is my next gig, which is going to be in Chicago. And I encourage you all to attend. You can buy tickets right now for that event if you're anywhere near Chicago and you want to come say hi. It's a great opportunity to see. Plus, the library inside that place is pretty stellar. And you can find that link. Wait, I'm trying to give you the link right now. You can find that link in the chat, because I'm going to ask, because I could not pull that up as fast as I thought. I'm going to ask a wonderful moth to hand that link off to you. But yeah, check it out. It's not, I don't think it's in Chicago, but I think it's around Chicago. And it's June 20. I want to say it's 24. Could be 23. But yeah. And as I'm getting caught up, I'll be pushing more about that, because the oracle mythology is an important topic I want to discuss, and it needs explaining. And the oracle mythology basically says that we know these things, and that when you look back at the Talmud or even what was written from that there are certain fascinating corollaries between what we've just now learned, not only in modern embryonic genesis or embryogenesis, but even in our cosmology, even as we see the world. Some of you who watch me are of that ilk where flat Earth is a religion to you, and you're going to get mad because I'm talking about space. And I just want you to, just kind of really enjoy the vitriol here, because in order to explain something here, we're going to talk about space, and I'm going to actually be telling you about zetetic information that we get from space. I heard that one of our proponents was mad because we were suggesting that you could determine that the sun is made of hydrogen. And they said that, well, it's not a zetetic proof. There's no way to do that. But the problem with saying there's not a zetetic proof is that there actually is. There's a concept called spectroscopy, I haven't said this word enough. I could spell it. But it's looking at the spectrum of light. And when I say light, I mean radiation, and or I include radiation. And when you point these, when you analyze the light from the sun, you find a distinct signature right at the same signature that helium has. And so people have zetetically sensed that, and they start to talk about the sun as being possibly made out of helium. I don't know or propose that the sun is made out of helium. I think that the plasma model of the universe seems to make a lot more sense, mainly because a plasma model allows for instantaneous transfer of energy. So light is not necessarily light so much as it is charge. That's the roughest way I can sort of explain to you that, which is why the sun doesn't come up. The sun charges the atmosphere. And as it moves its cathode through the atmosphere, the charge ends up glowing, much like a fluorescent light would. And that glowing is everywhere. There's an ability to actually see that glow. And you look beyond the visual realm to see this glow. and you start to we'll come back to this, don't worry. You start to look at, well, actually, you know what, maybe I won't. You start to see things about the birth of the universe that weren't there before. And these things are giving us a sense of who and what we are. The principle of dimensional homogeneity states that every mathematical expression which expresses a physical law or describes a physical process must be invariant in relation with any change to the fundamental units of measure. It's an awful sentence, isn't it? I didn't write it. This is at the base of modern scientific cosmology. And I'm going to tell you what it says. What it says is as above, so below. That's what it says. It's telling you that the principle of zoom should not alter what we see. It says that if we're going to be describing physical laws here, that the physical laws can't change based on your distance or based on your measure. And that really this is just a complex, kind of retarded way of saying as above, so below. And this is classic Einstein theory. Right before quantum mechanics really took off. But it's still true, or it's still a principle that we aim for. And the reason why science aims for that is because science believes that what is true would be universal. And that's really at the heart of what this homogeneity really is going for. That the people that are trying to zetetically tell you what the world is made of are insisting that as above, so below. They're reading that into it. Now you can dismiss that. I'm fine. In fact, you can even build your own Big Bang model off a non-homogenic kind of concept, right? You could actually say, well, no, it was never homogeneous. It's just right now is a coincidental homogeneity that we see. And maybe you'll ask, well, what do you mean? Why do we see homogeneity? But we do. When we look up into the sky, we don't see a bang. We don't see an explosion. We see a harmonious distribution of material. And really, that's really at the heart of this principle. That what makes the material so uniform across such a vast distance when we're trying to describe it as a giant bang? When we're trying to insist that through cosmic inflation we had this large format explosion, basically. The silent scream, and the moment that scream, it was so fast and so instant that it instantly spread itself out in such a way that we can magically explain the congruence of it all. And it's been one of the biggest problems in cosmology, and it causes so many problems that we've developed this this formula now to explain things. And this cosmological formula is used to explain the world from 3 different variables, and all 3 variables are allowed to change, which means that I'm about to show you a cosmic formula that can equal or not equal anything you want. It's going to depend on what numbers you put. And this is what most cosmology now is about. Which is why when you go on Instagram and you say, well, I think most of science is a religion, everyone gets mad at you. Or the scienteasers, right? The scientismists, that's probably the best word for it. The scientismists get mad because you're suggesting that it's infallible. But then as soon as Maruk Habachu or whatever element we want to put it in comes out and says that every single law that we thought was true yesterday is wrong, and those same scientismists say, oh my God, that's beautiful. And I'm not even telling you every scientific law is wrong. But I'm telling you that this quest for a beginning and for an end is an obfuscation that we're purposely inserting into this thing, because we're trying as hard as we can to remove the witness of God, which really is at the heart of the Big Bang. The Big Bang is more of a forgetting, and those 3 elements are dark matter. We're literally walking around this place, as scientists in lab coats saying, well, yeah, there's dark matter. I don't know how much it is. You can't weigh it. You can't measure it. You can't touch it. You can't taste it. It's iocane powder. Dark matter is iocane powder. But James, we can measure dark matter because we know that this universe over here is 1,000 times heavier than it should be. And yeah, you don't know there's dark matter. You're literally just clinging to a belief that you want so bad that you have to invent an iocane powder element that didn't exist before to explain it. And I'm okay with that. You know why I'm okay with that? Because we're never going to get where we need to get in science. You need to bullshit your way out of that hole to get back into the belief, to get back into the rendering. I'm never going to be able to groove with someone who's telling you you're living in a simulation or a simulacrum, because both of those have this prison element of someone outside of you painting a story, a canvas for you to see at all times. And that is a fetish for being treated like a child. It's a fetish for being spoon-fed your world. And in order to have that fetish, you're going to create the great illusionist, or you're going to create the demiurge, you're going to create the great deceiver, and you're going to have this whole plan that all of this is just an elaborate hoax. And the hoax is you. Because this world is not a simulation, it's a rendering. You're rendering it. You're rendering it as best you can, and you're going to change your render to whatever works for you to see. All of these different levels of eyesight are simply attempts at rendering the world differently so that that person can gain an advantage to learn to either see more or less, depending on the reptile and what the reptile says is acceptable. The sympathetic, right? Fight, flight, fear response, right? Fight, fear, friend, they try and tell it now, which reptile doesn't make friends. A reptile simply says you're no longer a threat. Parasympathetic, right? These two worlds are like the horizon. It's an event horizon inside of you, as above, so below. Below you is this reptilian Sheol. All it is urge and instinct. Above you is this etheric, socially minded, compassionary thing. Survival and compassion and survival. It really are the same things. And when you start to look at the world and the universe itself, you start to tap into what's really going on. And we'll get there, but dark matter is just one of these excuses. We say, well, we got dark matter. Another is vacuum density. We're arguing over how vacuumous space is. And this argument is just hilarious as you watch NASA explain to you what they can do and constantly using either the pros of it being all a vacuum or the antis of it being none of it being a vacuum, literally sometimes in the same paragraph to explain to you what's happening. And so it ends up being just like dark matter. You have two variables that are both iocane powders. And so now you have the ability to dream or explain any theory you want. All you have to do is put it under the umbrella of Big Bang Theory, and you can call it science. You don't have to call it religion anymore. And that's fine. I can't think of most religions that had the objective idea that, hey, we're just one religion. I don't know a lot of church that starts this as, hey, we could be wrong here. You tell me right in the comments. Maybe Quaker? Maybe? You could say that. Who's typing Quaker? Whoever types Quaker first, someone needs to give them some prana, because that's probably one. But we don't look around and see, the Quaker state. Oh, okay, maybe there is actually work. But it's not like they have like their own brand of like breakfast cereal, It's that idea is only going to go so far, right? You get it. You know what's going on. This third principle is homogeneity James, say the word right. Homogeneity. This is what I used to do with Cthulhu. I'd like walk around in the woods because I kept reading about Cthulhu, but no one would ever give me a pronunciation that I thought was appropriate. And I was like, Cthulhu. And I'm like, dude, you need to be careful. James, you gotta be careful. I fucking summoned Cthulhu on this trail right now, and you're gonna have to try and explain to him that you were just wanted to pronounce his name, and it actually was a sign of respect. But he packed up. You know how far away Sheol is? That's a long trip. It going to show up. He's not going to take your excuse. He's going to be like, right? Same thing. Thoth knows him. Thoth knows his language. So in addition to you seeing a world where we have all these different magic iocane powders, all three of them, dark matter, vacuum density, homogeneity, that we utilize this motif to build our cosmology. And all we know, all we've assumed is it's as above, so below, as above, so below. And this horizon problem comes up. What do I mean? We look at the signals. We look at the aura of all the luminaries. And you can't see those with the naked eye. Why? Because it requires a certain consciousness, i.e. technology, to perceive the aura. That culture itself raises up out of Maslow's pyramid, gains the expertise to see the aura of stars. Why? Because it wasn't ready to render the aura yet, because it was still building. It was building its foundations. And when you look at all technology from the camera, right? The camera used to be black and white, then it became color. That all of our mediums grow from a simple state to a complex state, that the spectrum, like a ripple, right, spreads. And as the ripple spreads, we earn more colors that we didn't know before. And right now we have this polite concept of teal, aquamarine, right, of puce, of all these other shades that weren't there before. And you know this when you ask your child to tell you the difference between peach and puce, and they can't. When you start to back down to that center of that ripple, you find that even understanding the music, even hearing the music itself is a mandala, that your perception has always been the mandala. I bet when you've seen the mandala, you've pictured the mandala as like outside of you. But you are a dolphin with knees, right? Walking around on the land with knees, you're a dolphin. You're a mandala machine. What does the dolphin do? It emanates a mandala. And it's able to shape this sonar signature. It puts hooks on the sides of the mandala. And it knows that those hooks, when they bounce off an object, because it has different shapes, they're not going to come back, or they are going to come back only if they're shaped in a certain way. So the dolphin learns to click, click, make a sound that has a certain shape. Sonar is a shape. Did you know that? Radar is a shape. And that by using this shape, he's able to capture shape. He can build a complete crystal map, right? Crystal palace map, without ever seeing you. He can sense the aura of your star. And we do the same. We zetetically do the same. And when we point our mandala and shape it into the waves of radio, which is to take their crests and spread them far, far apart, we see the aura of the sky. We see it, and it reveals something. One of the things it reveals is the horizon problem. Why is everything so congruent? Why do we live in this world where everything is so congruent? It's almost like music, right? The horizon problem, also known as the homogeneity problem, is a cosmological fine-tuning problem with the Big Bang model of the universe. It arises due to the difficulty in explaining the observable smoothness or casually disconnected regions of space and the absence of a mechanism that sets this condition elsewhere. We've known about this problem since 1956. We've tried to explain it away through cosmic inflation, and even telling ourselves that light itself is a variable speed, which, again, if you're explaining on Instagram how Brian, whatever his name is actually a boy band keyboardist, and they get all mad at you because you're reminding them that he's not actually a real professor, he will come out and tell you, all physics is wrong. It's wrong from yesterday, which makes it fascinating. And you're like, oh my God, science is so cool. It's very nimble and changing. And then when I do it, you're like, oh, you sicko. How dare you down science, James? How dare you? But this horizon problem we've had since 1956, it stopped no one, not a single person, from developing the theory of the Big Bang, because all they had to do was say, well, depends on how vacuumy the vacuum is. And you're like, well, how do you measure that? Yeah, you can't. Well, that's convenient. Yep. Where do you get the dark matter? What do you mean? Well, you can't measure dark matter either. So why are you using your equation? Because you let us use Planet X. That's what happened. And you try and even tell the layman who loves NASA that they required a literal invisible being called Planet X, and that this Planet X can change sizes depending on which orbit that you tell them is wrong, because it's wrong. You look at the math, you're taking their formulas, and you're like, this doesn't fucking fit. And the answer is always, yeah, it's a Planet X variable. It's like, well, how big is Planet X? Well, in this equation, Planet X is this big. And you're like, well, that's convenient. It's like, yeah, that's how religion works. We like to keep things convenient around here, Why make it complicated, right? Right? How do you sustain that if it's complicated? You don't. So you make it simple. You keep it simple, stupid. It's the horizon problem. Cosmic background radiation perturbates like 1 part in 100,000. What does that mean? It means that, wow, that's even. Like, it's like pretty chill. You can imagine yourself in the bathtub after you've sat in there a long time. The candles are going. You've stopped farting. There's no more bubbles. You're just really chilled. And you start to realize that the water itself is not perturbating. It's smooth. You're in the zone now, right? You're completely in the zone. And your parts are moving 1 in 100,000. So how'd that happen? You're telling me it's a Big Bang, but here we look at something as if it was just this smooth, right? Smooth. And the answer, I think, comes back to homunculus Earth. Yeah. Homunculus Earth. And we're getting there. In 1989, this is what we could see. I'd like you to picture that science is a baby, and that our eyes grow and develop. And in 1989, we could only see, when we look at the aura of space, we could only determine just a sort of a yellowish spot and sort of a whitish spot. And more yellow over here and more white over here. And I'd like you to think about being behind the brand new eyes of a shiny baby. And you're trying to render sight. You're trying to render your eyes. And in 1989, this is probably what you see. And in 2001, we're able to look closer at auras. We've got more electricity in our veins. Our technology's better too, and we're more receptive to the truth. And we're able to render this aura, as you see in the middle in 2001. We not only have beyond shade, we have shape for the first time. And you're looking at 5 different levels or depths, right? So we've gone from 2-bit, maybe to 4-bit here. And in 2013, we really, really grown. And we've gotten to where when we look up at the aura of the sky, we see the image on the right. Podcasters, this is sort of a blobbish kind of a substance that just gets clearer over the years. Some of these were taken from what science likes to call a satellite. And whether you want to call that a high altitude satellite doesn't really matter, because this radio telescope is also here on Earth. You can build one yourself. And you can start to see this aura from the sky. And I want to remind you, when I say aura, that it comes back to this notion of a plasmatic universe, which is something that science doesn't really like to talk about. But we're getting there. We're getting there. And I want you to see really clearly here that what a radio telescope sees is what a baby sees. And there's a concept I'm sure you've heard of called cosmic redshift. I'm sure you've heard of this. And that you can watch the light as it comes in through a telescope. And you can look at the spectrum of that light and you can see why is there this shift in red? Or why is there this shift in blue? And we say the reason why that shift is because it's pointing to the center, is what we're told. It's pointing to the center of origin. It's giving you a clue where this came from, which is really at the heart of why they call it the Big Bang, is really at the heart of us rendering this redshift. That, believe it or not, those actually, I think that's exclusively why we decided it was a Big Bang. And it's the same effect as the Doppler. You probably know this, but you're listening to a train and the sound of the train changes, and that the same thing happens when you're looking at the light in the sky, that the light bends, it warps depending if it's coming towards you or if it's going away from you. And I want you to realize that when a newborn starts to see, it sees nothing but red. And that they believe that primitive man, the earliest man, they believe probably could only discern red. That was the first color he learned to see. And so as above, so below, you have a 200,000-year-old Homo erectus that's suddenly learned how to discern red in his environment. The color. And that you and I, in our lifetimes, some of us, have learned to see the aura of the sky. As we watch it more, we're able to understand more. And what does a baby do when it opens its eyes? It's processing that data. And what happens at 6 months? The baby's able to actually shift that red into black. It's gaining fidelity as it grows, the same way we do in science. If you were to go out and take a picture of the aura of the sky and stitch those pictures together as if they wrapped all around you, and then take that picture and step outside of it just so you could look at what that would look like from the side, you would see what you see on the screen now. This flat, oblong, circular shape that seems to have a plane in the middle, a hot red plane in the middle, and bolts and spores and spars of colder blue ejecting themselves from its center, maybe. And you look at that and you think, I've seen that before. You're like, where have I seen that? And you can't remember because it was so long ago. That when you saw this, it was this, according to science, this is a 16.7 billion year old image. And I'm here to tell you that you saw this when it was happening. And no. I'm not suggesting that it's because you're 16.7 trillion years old. That's not what I'm saying at all, guys. Hang on. Put your seatbelt on. Actually, take your seatbelt off. This is Aquarius, guys. Guys, you're not going to make it wearing a seatbelt. You know why? Because seatbelts are for people that are afraid to die. I want you to climb out on the deck of your airship, strap yourself to the front of the boatswain, right? To the very, very front of that ship. Spread your arms out. That's how we're going to drive. All right? So do me a favor, unbuckle your seatbelt. Climb out to the front of your prow and feel this beat drop, because this motif, everything around you is true. Because the truth is in the room. It's telling you everything. What you're seeing is the forced crystal palaces that everyone is forcing themselves to render around you to avoid looking directly at this kind of truth. That you were there in the Big Bang because the Big Bang was you. You're looking at what I told you you're looking at was the cosmic background radiation shown in a picture. And I lie every episode, which keep in mind that me telling you that I lie every episode could be the lie, but that this picture is not actually a lie. It actually is cosmic radiation. But this one isn't. This is a human embryonic cell entering into a very specific phase of mitosis. And that all of the genes, all the important stuff is gathered at the center and formed a flat disk. It is homogenated in such a way to where the cellular structure has a difference of about 1 in 100,000. The same difference is what we claim we see in the cosmic Big Bang. This is another picture of our own galaxy. When I say picture, I mean you're looking at every part of the sky, recording that into a shape, and you're stepping out of that shape and looking at what you recorded. There's another picture of a cell, and luckily, you're able to see the cell from the top in this case. You're able to climb to the top of the Milky Way galaxy, and you see that, James, it's not just a line. It seems to be a flat, rotating disk. That these things seem to dance around in a circle as they decide what's going on. And that these things emanate and spiral out as if they were ejected from the center. As if some giant force was turning them at the center like a spokes on a cosmic wheel. And you look at what happens when the cell begins to split, and you realize that in that moment you're watching a doorway into new life. That something that did not exist before is about to exist now, and it's going to come and emanate from itself. This is a selfing kind of a process, and it's fascinating. You start to understand how these things work. You can start to apply the esoteric knowledge that the Gnostics have been telling you since day one, which is that as above, so below. And that all of these processes are happening inside of us. Right now, most of physics has decided that the only way that they can explain all the data they're getting and still believe in Big Bang, not kidding, is that they've claimed that, well, there are multiple universes. The math isn't working having an iocane powder of homogeneity, vacuum, and what was the third one? Damn it. That those three factors were not good enough. They needed another. Right, dark matter, volume density, and homogeneity. That those weren't enough. They needed more. They needed more to explain their math and cling to the fact that no, we know how it's formed. Keep in mind, since 1956, we've been insisting we know how it's formed. And we've been insisting we know how it's formed, and we've been telling you that the reason why we know how it's formed is because we're going to need this other mysterious variable that can change, and then this other variable that can change, and this other variable that can change. And even after all that, it still doesn't explain it. And so we've come up with this other concept, which is, well, there are multiple universes. And the weight and force and flux of those multiple universes are what's causing all the math to work. We just can't see it yet. And you're just... something's tapping you on the shoulder saying, James, they're talking about you. They're talking about your cells right now. They're talking about that inside your cells right now, these spiral arms are separating, splitting, finding their way. And you know it's true. You know why it's true? Because we don't need any special variables. There's no fuzzy math. And you've known this the whole time. You've had these concepts the whole time, your whole life. You know what the universe is. If anything scares you, it's just the implications of what it means. Don't you think that the only way God could truly be the concept of God is if he was everywhere? And where are you? Where are you? Did you know that no matter where you go, you are there? And this is the train where the simple mind gets off and they're like, oh, that's dumb. No, it's not. Wherever you go in this world, you're going to find one person there. You. You are everywhere. Not only are you everywhere, you know and see all things. How? Because you can go anywhere. And you can see all those things. And that the thing that terrifies you the most, and me, is that you would be God. And we've invented words like heresy. We've invented orthodox bisexual homesteading groups to build up an immunity to this idea, to insist that we cannot be God, that you must be a Luciferian or whatever the word is, to insist that there's no fucking way we can have a reality where I'm God, damn it. And I mean that, God, comma, damn it. We get so fucking mad at this that we kill each other over anyone who tries to suggest it. That you are God. And that your entire creation was the Big Bang. And that the reason why you know the Big Bang is something that happened so long ago is because it literally happened at the beginning of time. The origin of fucking time itself was brought here by you. The origin of space itself was brought here by you. You did that. Bereshit bara Elohim is what you said when you got here, not me, not the Hebrews. You said, Bereshit bara Elohim. You said that. And the first thing you did as a zygote is you separated the waters from the waters. You're like, hey, Mom, I'm going to live here. I'm going to take myself, I'm going to blow it up with air. You're going to separate yourself. You're going to create the Elohim. Who's the Elohim? It's the they. They. Elohim's plural. The they of El. That's really what it is. The theyness. What happens in the zygote? The one becomes 16. You twin yourself, and those twins twin themselves, and those twins twin themselves. And that's the Elohim. This is the waters above the waters being separated by the Elohim. It's right here. It's right here. It's the Big Bang. Put that in the finest pipe that's ever been made and smoke it. It's the metaphase. And this phase is found in mitosis and meiosis, which means when you look at a younger galaxy, super far away, and you're watching it corpusculate, I'm just making up that word because it sounds like I'm really smart. When you're watching it corpusculate around this central axis to form on this surface, you see this sort of water inside the water and the splitting of it all, but you're watching an infant, right? Because meiosis is the first way. The youngest star produces itself through this phase. And what happens in the metaphase? These chromosomes line up in the equator as if they were a secret society. And they're all sacred twins. Twins having twins having twins. And everything you know about mythology involves some kind of twin having sex or pulling off the arms of some other kind of twin and a bunch of people falling out. And you're like, yeah, there's a story of blah, 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 or Athena, or, whatever, Zeus, and all these other people. You were there. I saw you there. Don't say you weren't there. I saw you. I saw you. You know how I saw you? I was looking through a telescope. was looking through a telescope at another galaxy. I was looking at the Orbit of the galaxy, and I was like, holy shit, that's Linda. Fuck, there's Linda up there. What is she doing? Oh, she's making her Elohim. Damn, Linda, go. And if I was to go there, God would be there. And if you were to come here, God would be here. Right? No, but we can't be God. Humans need to be separate from the world because we need to be unnatural. And then we need a God that's, even though he's everything, he actually is not in this world because he's not actually everything. But you can't say he's not everything, so you have to pretend like he's not everything. Then you have all this. Some of the most retarded conversations I've heard have been from people who are trying to discuss the concept of a Trinity. Like, seriously, some of the most retarded people in the world are still focusing on that problem of how do you get God into this world when he's already all things, but we want to insist that man himself is actually unnatural, and you end up with this really, really, really retarded notions, and everyone insisting that they're right and that they know what's going on, and really what's happening is this metaphase. And when you look into the tiniest drop of water, it's magnified into a cosmos. Because scale is a dimension that you and I are going to be breaking one day. Got a while to go. But through our Crystal Palace matrix, we are going to be able to break the needle. Some of us talk about time travel. I'm talking about scale travel. This is the principle of a scalar wave, by the way. You realize that the scalar wave is a wave within a wave within a wave. And why does that work? Because it's an amplification. Point of order. I was talking to someone, I don't remember who, and I explained that it's literally impossible to not play a third note. I was explaining that if you play one note and another note, that there's going to be a sympathetic note that's absolutely going to be impossible to not hear. And another thing I realized driving back is, holy shit, James, I know how to play two notes and not make a sympathetic note, not make the third. And there's only one way. There's only one way. You writing this down? You have to play octaves. It's the only way. And some of you might have a technical argument. Some of you might have some prana to dump where you just kind of want to be a contrarian. So you might say, well, actually, the sympathetic wave is the octave. But keep in mind that when you were playing three notes, you were already playing octaves. That each of those notes already sounds its octave. So I want to disagree with you on that. The scalar wave is the final frontier. The zooming is the final frontier. And you know how you're going to get there? It's not going to be you're going to need nutchuck. Don't get me wrong. Don't worry. All of us are going to need nutchuck. But it's not going to necessarily involve you grabbing your fists together. I think you should call on Apache Chief. But I want you to think of this as a psychic movement. That your crystal palace is able to enlarge or shrink. And when you see ants in the grass and you're playing with them, it's not because you're smoking pot, it's because you're seeing the world. And by the way, I mentioned once what a great day it was watching these ants. If you think that you require marijuana to do that, you should not be smoking marijuana. You shouldn't. It way off topic. That was a deep grab, James. It's like episode 12. If I had that. I don't even know if I was numbering them. So long ago. Like 16.3 billion years ago, right? This is what's happening. You got a black sun, you got a white sun. You got one above, you got one below. Pulling them both. Twinning of twins. The metaphase, this is cosmology. You know what else this explains? You know why I did this entire episode? This explains cosmic homogeny. This explains the Big Bang. I'm telling you that the reason why we can have an expanding universe that is knowable in all places is because that expanding universe is simply a giant metaphase. We are living inside a giant interphase cytokinesis mitosis. We're watching that occur. As above, so below, that you are looking at the internals. When you look out into space, you're looking at your inside. You're looking at your singular scalar zygote that has been Elohim, fattened, to fatten the earth. He did not, Elohim did not create the earth, he fattened the earth. That's the literal translation. The fattening of that is cosmic inflation. It's the same thing. I just wanted to point out, it says Moo Moo Math and Science, and that's a cute name, Moo Moo Math. Yeah, math for cows. Who knew? So this concept of these archetypal imaginings of creation are actually closer. They're closer to reality than science is. They do not have the flaws. They do not require divine variables. How dare you even suggest that God would not be in the mitosis of a human being? Are you fucking kidding me? Right? When you really look at this entire process and you look at the Genesis, the concept of a Genesis device, you know. Yeah, Admiral Cook, you don't want to give me the Genesis device? Okie doke, you that device is I am. And when you understand that the heart of what's driving every cell inside you, you realize that the name of God is encoded inside you, that you were a living, walking, breathing mantra, speaking the words I am over and over again, yet you still want to insist you're not God? Why? Is it because you want God gone from this world? Because that's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Even you enacting death upon yourself is simply invoking the Shiva. That's all it is. Right? And what happens during apoptosis? What really happens? The cell says, I'm ready to die. It asks for its brethren to come and remove myself from here. So even you trying to die, you're still enacting the concept of God. You're still invoking the very heart of I am, that I am would be nothing, would it not for this apoptosis. You know, apoptosis is the same word, almost the same word, as this giant cosmic snake that comes to eat you all. And that word came long before science, and that our science was not even approaching it mythologically. That name fits because it fits into the scientific lexical of Latin itself. That it was only in Egypt is there a deep find where you look at that snake and you go, wait, that's apoptosis right there. And you're like, I know it is. But more importantly, you know it is. The only reason why you're saying you don't know it is because you're not ready to admit you're God. Morphic resonance is this concept. Rupert Sheldrake, I highly recommend you check him out if you haven't already. The dude's just fucking lit. He talks about this concept of morphic resonance, that it might explain why we're able to know things. That when a new crystal is manufactured in a lab, that the very first time that crystal is synthesized, it takes a long time. And then something miraculous happens. That after that crystal is formed, that every other lab around the world is able to render their crystals, to generate their crystals faster. It's as if the crystal learned how to be made, and instantaneously all at once, everywhere else, the learning was there too. Rupert's explained that many people have tried to dismiss this as if the crystals are somehow accidentally being transported from lab to lab, and that's how, and that we have all these silly excuses that we're insisting that this is why, but it's not. And the reason why it's not is because science is missing that other part, because science thinks that belief is something that they can remove from their equation, which is hilarious because they're literally scientismists. And the atheism is an important part of finding where we are, which is why it's always in line with science, that you would need that. It's much like welding bubble, where you will pour in a wasted bubble of oxygen that's not actually used for the burn. It's there to create the bubble itself that allows the metal to flow. And that science needs atheism in that same way. It needs a bubble of untruth, a bubble of saying, no, the environment is, we can't have the actual environment. We need just one part of the environment that we insist is the totality. And only then can we create the crucible to weld. And it's a fine skill, right? You get a lot done. These symbolic representations are much closer to the truth because we're invoking the oracle of mythology. Morphic resonance would suggest to you that everything your parents know, you know. And you know that because if you watch the mitosis of your parents' cells, you see that that's you. And this really starts to turn reality different because I'd like you to picture that you don't inherit reality from the world around you. You inherit reality from your parents. Your parents give you this egg that they've been painting for years, decades. And that they got that egg from their parents and their parents and their parents. And that really you're just inside this menagerie of painted egg. And you're going to add your brushes too. And some of the brushes you're going to add is going to be the auric field of Aquarius. You were the first to arrive to say, no, Mom, I actually see the energy around you. And that, Mom, your emanation is bigger than you think it is. Right? These are the progressions of the ripple I was talking about earlier. The ripple gets larger and we learn to see more things, you know? It's cool stuff. So I think we should call it the Fig Bang. Not the Big Bang. It's the Fig Bang. Why? Because the Adam and the Eve, the very first, the primal cell, did something that's never, ever, ever been done before. It split. And that you're just simply watching, and you know every step you've ever taken from the zygote until today. And that the only way you could remember or map that out is to have it painted into the mythology around you. And you want to know why we all have the same mythology? Because our cells are the same. That's why. And so you and I have an illusion of objective reality, but really what it is an illusion of cosmic homogeneity. Hear that again. Objective reality is simply what cosmic homogeneity feels like. Right? Which means that 1 out of 100,000 parts of us is completely different reality. Fluctuation, perturbation, right? All that stuff. This is a new way to see things, you know? It's part of this homunculus earth that I've been talking about. And if some of you have been waiting for that to go away, I would imagine you're probably waiting for me to stop using AI art and all the other stuff, and it's not going to happen. I'm not going to go back to this pre or early COVID notion if you're waiting for that, or we're insisting that everything's fake, brah, or that NASA's... I've always told you, I don't think NASA's doing this to try and trick you. I think NASA's trying to create a better understanding so you'll rise taller. Most of the archetypes you see of people trying to fool us are archetypes of you being a hero in some way. But keep telling yourself they're the ones keeping you down, because that totally removes you from the responsibility, doesn't it? Sure does, right? What is coming is really hard to even fathom, I think. Like the things that are coming online that we don't know yet. You and I aren't going to see these things. You and I don't have that seat, right? That seat's for someone else. There's an ocean of rainbow babies on the way. You and I are parts of those. Just as we scare our parents because we see more, if you do your job well, your parents will scare you too. Your kids will scare you too. The cosmic homogeneity really comes down to the fact that all of our crystal palaces have no choice but to be the same because they're all rendering the same reality that they saw the moment their zygote touched down on Mount Ararat. The moment their Moses separated the waters from the wazers. The moment the ark opened, the zygote opened, and the uterine wall was occupied with the thrown stones tossed over the shoulders of Noah and Dionysus, and the ones thrown over the right shoulder became males, and the ones over the left shoulder became females. That this populating of the earth was simply your zygote landing. You know exactly where Noah's Ark is. And you can go watch the History Channel if you want, but you know exactly where it is because you were there. You were the one that released the raven and the dove. You were the one that waited for them to come back to know it's safe. You were there when the titans were ripping their arms apart. You were there when you said, enough of this. It's time for something different. You were there when you carved the zodiac. You were there when you called for death to come. All of these things are everywhere around you because you are God. And I don't mind you insisting it's not true. I see how much you profit from absolutely obliterating the point that you're not. I see you crouching. But you'll never get away. You'll find it eventually. I actually have some business in the last 11 minutes here that I want to discuss. And I wish I didn't, because I think it kind of sort of lessens the vibe of this thing. But I really need you guys to know something that happened last month. We have a Telegram group, and it's not my Telegram group. It's run by my seriously good friend Sark, and it's not just Sark. There's other mods. And last month in that Telegram group, one of the members was sort of like causing some trouble. He was sort of trying to go after me, and the way that he went after me was that he complained about someone else in the group asking too many questions. And when he complained about that, someone else in the group like loved and laughed at that comment because they thought it was funny, and everyone sort of laughed and everyone kind of moved along, but not the person who he was speaking about. The person he was speaking about was actually in the dojo too, and in private consult, I was speaking with them, and I was really encouraging them to step up if they felt offended, because the whole white knighting thing, all the other stuff, I like how the dojo works because it encourages this kind of stuff. And so they did. They tried as much as they could to bring it up, and then another person also in that Telegram group who was also playing these games actually went in and blocked that ability for her to even voice her concerns, and went immediately to the defense of the first offender, who that Telegram group just loves. They find him charming and funny. That person was probably one of 5 people that have been keeping this show alive since November. And that person left. I lost 2 patrons last month as a direct result of the shitbags that are in that Telegram group. And I call them shitbags because they didn't fix it. I've been in that Telegram group for on and off for several months now, and over again, I named it the Hobo Bar. I called it that because that's the kind of level of consciousness that's running there. And because I was prepping for 5.5, I couldn't really put a lot of effort into trying to fix this, although I did. And I'm sorry to admit that most of my week for 5.5 prepping for the biggest show of my life was spent worried and concerned about what I could do to stop the bleeding that's happening in a group that's literally supposed to be here supporting the show. All of you in that Telegram group are here because there's a show that gives you a tent, a canopy where you can assemble to find each other. I know it has nothing to do with me. I know that I'm more of the archetype in the group, and in fact, when I'm in the group, I might even lower the vibe because you guys like to, whatever, throw your stuff around. But you fucktards are hurting my show. You fucktards chased away a patron that was carrying at least 100 of you. At least 100 of you. And some of the people that were causing trouble don't even support the show. They're not even patrons. Additionally, the people in that Telegram group have decided to lick the wounds of that person because they think that if we kiss his wounds and we lick him, that he will suddenly start behaving better. And I find it offensive that you've lost the courage to make things expensive in your own environment simply because you don't want to be the bad guy. And it bums me out to know that my competition in this world is not just YouTube, it's that fucking Telegram group. And that there's going to be snipers in there that are going to look for supporters of mine and try as hard as they can to make their life difficult because they've told me, James, I don't like how much attention you get, I don't like how popular you are, and I especially don't like it when they're women. And that guy will snipe from the trees, and I've said his name, but he's informed me that I'm a bully now, that I'm bullying him, so I'm doing my best not to. I'm not even complaining about him. I'm complaining about you fucktards that decided the right decision was to lick his wounds. That you decided that the right decision when I castigated him was to go in and say, oh, it's okay. It's okay. It's not okay. It is not okay to snipe my fucking patrons who keep this show going. I've shown you the YouTube numbers, and I remind that Telegram group that I tried to do a fund drive in April, and literally 2 of you came in and dropped your pledge the day I asked, could you please consider raising your pledge? So you're killing not only the vibe, you're killing my desire to even want to do a show or to support something around a Telegram group that acts so shitty. Why have you not learned a damn thing I've said about the importance of pollinating your environment and making things expensive? Why are you pollinating that kind of abuse? Why are you pollinating and licking the wounds of someone who's acting that way, who needs you to be compassionate enough to shoot him in the fucking head? It's because you don't want to be the bad guy. And that's a self-centered kind of attitude. And I want you to stay in yourself. And I'm hoping that when you find self-centered, you will gain enough calories to realize that you're a symbiote and you have a responsibility to the environment. And that when an agent comes in that's trying to deteriorate the airship and do what we're trying to do, that by you making it expensive, you're protecting the very thing that you spend so much fucking time in, which is that Telegram group to begin with. I don't need you guys to agree with me. I know that there are people like all the others in there that are just like, well, James is wrong today. James is wrong today. And they just love getting that free. Fine, go ahead. I won't be coming in there. But I'm declaring war on you fuckers because you're hurting my patrons. You're hurting people that are trying hard to help my show. And that person you hurt, the reason why she was asking questions, is literally because she's trying to incorporate all that we've worked on, all that we've done into her own practice. And she feels and has asked me permission to say, is it okay if I ask questions to clarify? Because I'm new here and I just don't understand. And not only is it okay, I think that by her asking questions, she's showing the rest of the group who's also new, very important concepts that we've missed now, because of the fucking hobo bullshit that you guys have pulled in that Telegram group. I don't like you guys anymore. I don't want to support you. I'm going to do everything I can to find out who is in that group and make your life difficult because I need this to sting because you're hurting what I do. You're not helping the show. And if you've been here for months or years, I don't give a shit. Your behavior is always based on what you're doing now, not then. I apologize for being harsh to those who think they don't deserve it, but I don't know how else to make this more expensive. I've personally called this person out. I've personally told everyone else in the group, guys, why are you acting this way? Why will you not police your own? And the answer is because we're fucking lazy and afraid to be the bad guy, James. That's why. We don't want to put out pollen that's suggesting that. And you know what? You shouldn't be watching my show. You don't deserve to watch my show. Do you know how many calories I burn that I know I'm going to have to be the bad guy right now, but it's important to my environment? You're the antithesis of that. You're not supporting my show at all. You're literally creating a front that's saying this is the opposite of the show. So fuck you guys. Seriously. You caused me a lot of stress right before 5-5 the whole time. The whole time. I'm like, how do I fucking stop them from shooting people that are trying to help my show? Seriously. I don't want to end it like that. But I don't know what else to do because I wanted to get off my chest because I want to have a clean show Friday. I started to do it at the beginning, but I didn't want to bring it up and like bring it all down, you know? And I almost didn't say it, but I have to say it. That person really helped the show. That person really, really, really helped the show. And if it weren't for people like Graham, Nancy, I don't even think that I could. I know I'm going to miss them all. We wouldn't be here. We wouldn't be here. So the next time you're in the Telegram group and you decide that the secret here is that we need to lick the very wounds of the person that keeps scaring away the patrons that are keeping the show going, maybe you look in the fucking mirror, go back and listen to some of the episodes and understand that you are a symbiote. You have a responsibility in this environment to protect what you love and make expensive what you don't. So maybe the whole Telegram dude doesn't like the show. Because if I'm going to be authentic with you, I'm going to have to treat you like an adult, which means how you act is how you feel, and how you feel is what you want. And what you want is for me not to do the show. And as long as you stay in there and support that kind of shit, we're not going to make it. We're not. There's a new Telegram group. You'll have to find the link for it. Because honestly, I don't know if I can trust those people either. I hope I can, but we'll just have to fucking see. And if you're going to sign up to be a mod, fucking grow some balls. Stop being a fucking vagina. Look, vaginas are beautiful. But if you're a fucking man and you're claiming to be the mod in this, fucking grow up. Grow a goddamn pair. Drunk people should not be rewarded. People who asphyxiate themselves for a living and come in and pounce on a group should not be rewarded. And you giving them a special place and giving them special witness and everything else you're doing is not helping. You're not helping them. You're telling that person, I don't have faith that you can take a board to the face and grow the fuck up. That's what you're saying. You're insisting that there is no strength in these people, that they have no spine, that I have to be the one that liberates them through kindness because I'm such a great guy. And you're not a great guy. You're aiding and abetting. That's what you're doing. You're aiding and abetting because you don't want to cause a rift because of the thief. You don't want to give him a bad time, man. And you don't want to feel like the dude giving him a bad time. Look at me bitching. Very sorry. It's great to be back. It really is. But we're not going to make it with that kind of stuff. We're not going to make it with that kind of stuff, guys. It's not. We got things to do. Let it go, man. Is that what you're saying, JJ? Why is it bothering you so much? Wow. Are you seriously fucking asking me why is it bothering me that one of our biggest patrons was chased off by the audience, JJ Recon? Holy shit, you fucking retard. Goodbye. Goodbye. I can't put you in timeout. How do I just get rid of you? Holy shit, you're a fucking retard. How stupid can you be? Guys, I'm sorry I'm cussing, but holy fuck. Can you guys really not understand why this would be important to do? Do you think that I'm independently wealthy? Is that it? Is that what's going on in your fucking head? Because seriously, when I keep reading these comments, this is what kills enthusiasm. This is what kills the show. One of the reasons why I only do 2 shows a week is because of some of the bullshit that I have to read, like JJ Recon. JJ Recon, I'm going to find you. I'm going to find everything you've ever done, everything you've ever contributed. I cannot have you here. It's not going to work. We are in Aquarius now. Go fuck yourself if you think that I am taking this the wrong way. Holy shit, go fuck yourself. I wish that I could unblock you, JJ, just so you can come back so I could yell at you and block you again. So guys, decide what you want to do. Pick what shows you want. Pick how hard or how easy you want it. Because it's fine. Do you realize I've already met my friends? They were in 5-5. I don't fucking need you. I don't need your shit in the Telegram. That's why I don't even hang out in there anymore. There's other groups that have real people that are fucking cool as fuck. So we're going to separate it. We're going to figure this out. I'm going to find each one of you. I'm going to find each one of you who thinks that way, that old school way. And you're fucking gone. You know how? I'm going to make it expensive. That's all. I'm going to show you every fucking step that you go on. So go for it. All the ones with JJ Recon, bring it the fuck on. It's fine. Fine. We'll do it that way. If I have to authentically show you guys how to show courage to pollinate your own garden like this, then I guess that's what we'll be doing this summer. But you know what? It fucking sucks, because if we could add more levity, this airship could take the fuck off. But no, we got to come down here and play, James, why are you getting upset at people who are trying to extinguish your airship? Fucking retards. And honestly, there's amazing people in the chat. You're lowering the quality of all that. James, you bark, but do you bite? Okay. Jacob, goodbye. I didn't like your shit when you were asking me, well, James, I'm Lucifer, and I just you called me I'm dark. No, Jacob, fine. Goodbye. That's fine. Who else? Anyone else wants to bitch about my mood? Go ahead. Say it in the chat. I'm happy to block you. I don't want you watching the show. I don't. I would rather do this show for 3 people. And you know who those 3 people would be? The 3 people that the Telegram group said, get the fuck out of here. That's who. That's what. Thank you, Blue. Thank you for being here. Anyone else want to go, oh, James, do you bite? I don't know if you actually bite. Of course you knew I bite, Jacob. I bit you before. I fucking yelled at you a week ago. Why? Because you're acting like a fucking retard in the messages. Jesus. James, Lucifer, I'm not sure if this is how it works or not. It's like, no, dude, you just want to be special. You're writing me telling me that your mental construct is very different from everyone else because you're looking for originality and you need me to... Do you realize how hypocritical it is for you to desperately cling to originality by asking someone outside of you to claim you're original? It's a retard move, dude. Go away. How do I do this? Because I don't even know if he's here. Now, that would be the channel. I got to figure out... I don't even block people. This is what I got to figure out. Let me see. Report. I don't want to report you. I just want to block you. That's all. Let me see. I don't even do this enough. Because I like to think you guys will police your own, but you don't. And you won't. And you're not. So you're making me do it. And I will. Oh, I will. And I am. And I have. And that's going to keep happening. Or I'm going to find something else to do for a living. And guess what? I've got a lead on that. So fine. Make up your fucking mind, guys, what it is you want to do. But coming in here telling me that I'm upset because I'm talking about this after I did a pledge drive, after I asked you guys and showed you guys what's going on, and please don't fuck with those. You know what should happen when you go into Telegram and you see someone like her? That woman was a lioness, badass, multi-million-dollar career. Watching my show, decided to go into Telegram to talk to you fuckers. And that's what you did to her. You did that, Jacob. And you did it the whole time as you're typing. Well, James, I just think that maybe I'm like deeper and darker than everyone else is all. And no, you're not. You know how you're not? I know you're not because you're fucking asking me. She doesn't do that. She sees techniques here. And you scared her the fuck off. You showed her we were fake as fuck. She confronted you on it. You still came back in the chat the next day, Jacob, probably telling Johnny how fucking funny he was. Now you're telling me, James, do you bite? Yeah, I bite. I'm going to fucking bite you now, piece of shit. Sorry about the cussing, but man, I can't believe some of these things I'm reading in here. Who's next? You shouldn't be afraid of reading chat. I think I should be. Do you know why? Because I'm not here to be invincible. I'm a dynamic microphone. I have a serious fidelity. I'm going to stick it in the dirt. If you're going to yell in the dirt in front of the microphone, it's going to hurt my microphone. Do you know what? That's a skill I have. You're the only one that's insisting that must be a flaw. I can't read the chat because it's full of shitty comments that are waiting to be shitty. Not even full. It's just got enough. It's got just the right amount. Can't wait for dark matter to come online. Me neither. We get a lot. I'm bringing dark and light matter. This is dark matter coming online right now, Spectral. Right the fuck now. You're listening to dark matter coming online. You want to bitch about it? Come to Dojo. We're 7 minutes late. I ran over. Apologize for that. Really hope you come to the show Friday. If you want to write and talk about how mean I am, please do. Just do me a favor. Hit unsubscribe when you're done, because I'm not going to fucking change. You want to come in and fuck with my patrons? I'm going to fuck with you, or I'm going to find something else to do for a living. Got it? Have a great day. Really. Asking me if I bite. I'm going to fucking... Jacob, I'm going to fucking... Oh, my goodness. Can somebody get Lori a link to Dojo, please? As Airship, please.